Hey guys, so today we're going to do the review and unboxing of the OneXPlayer F1 Pro, also known as the OneXFly F1 Pro. Yeah, this is a gaming handheld released by the parent company is actually One Netbook, by the way. One Netbook is a Chinese company making mostly like netbook style computers, and I've reviewed several of them dating back to like, what, 2018, I think. I did a lot of reviews of the One Netbook 1S and the One Netbook One Mix 3 Yoga. I actually used that for a few years, and the One Netbook 4, even the One Netbook GX1 Pro, I think, which was like this mini laptop gaming computer. I've reviewed a bunch of those, and it's been a while since I reviewed a One Netbook product. In fact, the OneXPlayer is basically One Netbook's line of gaming handhelds. So yeah, they are the same company. It's just that they use the OneXPlayer branding for their gaming handhelds, and this is the first OneXPlayer that I've unboxed on my channel. So let's talk a bit about it. It came out in 2024. This price now, I got this one for $1,000, and the specs for the $1,000 version is you can configure it with Ryzen AI 9 HX370, but I picked the 8840. Because that is the cheaper version. If you pay up for the $1,300 version, you get the Ryzen AI 9 HX370, but I think 8840 is enough for me. So yeah, CPU is 8840U for the configuration I got. AMD Radeon 890M for the graphics. And the display is one of the main reasons why I got it. It's got a 7-inch OLED display, which is pretty nice. Always want to go for OLED displays if possible. 1080p resolution, which is enough for most games. I do not care too much about gaming at higher than 1080p for now. I mean, of course, people are like, oh, 4K gaming and everything, but I've always been fine with 1080p. 144 Hz refresh rate, 800 nits of brightness. This one comes with 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And yeah, it's kind of discounted right now because it's not a new handheld. So they do have newer ones coming out, but I decided to pick up this version. It's a little bit older, but still good enough for my needs. And see if I can replace my ROG Ally with it, actually, is what I'm looking to replace it with. And also I got a free docking station with it as well as kind of a promotion. So I got this OneXPlayer docking station with it as well for free. So yeah, let's take a look at OneXPlayer F1 Pro. Okay, of course, a Chinese company, all these like gaming handhelds, except for the Steam Deck. I think most of the gaming handhelds are made by Chinese companies now. Okay, here it is. Let's get to that in a bit. Let's see what else is here. We got the manual. Yeah, I am the manual, and in Chinese here it says 我是说明书. 说明书 means manual in Chinese, so it's funny to have that too. Okay, and has both in Chinese and English. We will be good partners in the future. Let's meet your OneXPlayer. It's like almost like a chat. It's like a chat in real time. Hi, nice to meet you. 很高兴认识你, right? Actually, no, 很高兴见到你. Yeah. Okay, that's Chinese for nice to meet you. It's funny how they have the chats right here. This is what I look like. And then this is the back of my brevity. Why do they say brevity here? Isn't it just the back of the handheld? Curious choice of words to use. Brevity. Okay. Ports at the top and bottom. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit. A USB-C 4. TF card slot. Same thing as micro SD, by the way. TF is just another name for it. Shortcut button function. Okay, so we got shortcut button, home. Of course, OneXPlayer has their own UI layer on top of this. This does run Windows 11, right? But usually when you have gaming handheld companies, they usually put their own type of UI layer on it, right? Asus, Lenovo, all do that. MSI does that as well. And yeah, OneXPlayer does that. And Neo does that. Right, they all put their own UI layer on it, except for Steam, because Steam has their own operating system. This is all I look like. Come on and boot me on to check. Okay, let's start the system setting. And okay, well, interesting way of introducing the handheld, having that little text boxes here. But yeah, this is I'll go through the handheld. We'll check that out. What else do we get here? The charger, probably, right? And the cable. Oops, yeah, so we got charging brick right here. USB-C to USB-C is what we get here, which we should expect. Yeah, USB-C, USB-C cable, and charging brick. You do have to connect them. It's not one of those chargers where it's permanently attached. Yeah, like in the Asus ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion, that you get the the permanently attached chargers. This one is probably better though, because you can detach it and then use the cable separately for transfer. Okay, put that aside for now. Okay, let's take a look at the handheld. Okay. Okay, OneXPlayer. Okay, so OneXPlayer, here it is. My first OneXPlayer gaming handheld. Pretty nice. I actually like the size. It's fairly comfortable, and yeah, nice grip here. It's not especially bulky. Like the Lenovo Legion Go, for example, that was fairly bulky, and I can do a size comparison later. But I would say roughly it feels like the same size as the ROG Ally. I'll do a comparison a bit. Let's go over the different controls on the exterior here. So yeah, this is 7-inch display. 1080p resolution. It's full OLED, which is nice, 144 hertz. You got D-pad here, which feels okay. I mean, D-pads are always going to be a little bit of an afterthought on these things, because like for modern games, it's only used for like inventory management and stuff like that. But if you're playing retro games, then D-pads are fairly important, I would say. But it's okay. Analog sticks should be like Hall effect, right? And they should have these LEDs surrounding it. It's been modern gaming handhelds always usually have the RGB stuff going on, so we'll check that out later, but feel nice and clicky, and you can press them down for L3 and R3 buttons as well. You have your, I'm assuming, your start and select buttons right here, and have to map them properly maybe, but start and select, and then this is some other button, I'm not sure yet. It's another button here. Actually, start and select, oh, there's another button here. I think this is maybe trying to duplicate what you find on Steam Deck, maybe. But yeah, you have the window switcher button right here. And this is the menu button. And then we'll have to check each of these buttons out, actually. Yeah, but I think maybe this might be the menu or start button. Then face buttons right here, right? Standard 4 face buttons. They're okay. They feel a little bit mushy, but they're okay. Yeah, and then shoulder buttons here on the back. You got LB and RB, and you got LT and RT. So the shoulder buttons and the trigger buttons on the back here. Yeah, they're okay. Yeah, feels all right. And then on top here, what else you got? Yeah, here. Yeah, so you got the power button right here. You got the volume rocker right here, which is nice because these ones jut out a little bit more compared to the ROG Ally. We like that. Headphone jack right here, 3.5mm USB-C charger. And this is actually another reason why I bought this handheld, because it has a full-size USB-A port, which is pretty nice. I think compared to the other gaming handhelds that I have, the ROG Ally, Steam Deck, Lenovo Legion Go, none of them have a full-size USB-A port. Only my GPD Win 4 does. So it's nice to be able to have that, so you don't need to use a dongle or an adapter, right? You can just plug your older accessories straight in. You have 2 additional buttons right here. That's nice. Now, I think these ones you don't necessarily need to use, but if you do need to have some extra buttons, you have 2 additional buttons on the side here, which is interesting. I think these actually replace the, yeah, so Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and Legion Go, like they have additional buttons on the back here. Like this one does not. Instead, the buttons are actually right here. So I think these are actually the buttons that are usually placed at the back of other gaming handhelds. Instead, you have them up here, which I actually prefer. You know, I think I like this. I don't like to have the feeling of like this little extra buttons that are jutting out from the back. It like kind of makes it uncomfortable when you grip. So I like that actually they put it right here. That's a good placement. I can just switch quickly from my shoulder buttons to this, right? Just go like that. So I think I like that location. Okay, then down here at the bottom, so you got speakers here, which are supposedly these speakers are tuned in conjunction with Harman EFX. So that's Harman's design team, and their engineers, like they're fairly well-known audio company that helps tune speakers and stuff like that. So that's Harman tuned speakers here. You got another USB-C there. That's your second USB-C, and you got micro SD card slot up there, of course. All right, and at the back, it says AMD Ryzen 7. So yeah, this is the 8840U version. OneXPlayer fan, and tuned with Harman EFX. So yeah, and another vent up here. So all in all, pretty nice. And let's do a comparison here. Said I'll bring in the comparison with other handhelds. Okay, this is the ROG Ally. This is actually the main thing that I kind of wanted to replace, because I like the ROG Ally, but it's like, I think the OneXPlayer should be a nice upgrade, even if the specs are not necessarily that different. At least I want to have the OLED display, you know? So ROG Ally, this is a 7-inch 1080p IPS display. And in terms of the configuration, it doesn't have the 32 gigs and 1 terabyte that the OneXPlayer does, and does not have the OLED screen that the OneXPlayer does. And the processor, Z1 Extreme versus the 8840U, what I've heard is that the 8840U has better AI processing capabilities, but I don't really care too much about that. Gaming performance should be roughly similar, I think. So Z1 Extreme and 8840U should be fairly similar gaming performance, but we'll see. You know, I'll boot up a few games and we'll test that out. It's got, yeah, in terms of the buttons here, yeah, I think that the OneXPlayer, I like the D-pad on the OneXPlayer better. Like this, what kind of D-pad is this, right? The ROG Ally is... yeah, it's not really a great D-pad. I don't know. It's just kind of like, feels like a toy. So I do like the D-pad on the OneXPlayer better. Analog sticks should be fairly similar, and they both have the LED rings around it. I do like the fact that the ROG Ally's buttons are very easy to press, and they're on the big side. So that's nice. The OneXPlayer buttons are a bit smaller, so not as easy to press. They do have the same... Well, actually, the OneXPlayer does have one more button on the front than the ROG Ally. ROG Ally has 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons on the front here, right? Kind of all small and close together. But the OneXPlayer spreads them out and also has 5 buttons in total, because there's a extra one down here, and then 1, 2, and 3, 4. So if there are 5 buttons on the front here, ROG Ally only has 4, so it has 1 extra button. If you look at the back here, ROG Ally has these annoying, I would say, back buttons here, whereas the OneXPlayer does not have that. Instead, it puts the buttons up here on the top instead, which I prefer. So the problem is the ROG Ally with these buttons, the way it kind of just juts out like this is annoying when I'm just holding it, right? It just feels like there's something wrong. It's like the back of the handheld has like a tumor or something like that. It just feels really like, feels annoying, right, on my hand. It's like I have this grip, but then it feels like it has this uncomfortable tumor sticking out the back, which is like what these buttons are. So I definitely like the buttons on the OneXPlayer better. I'll have to test the speaker differences, but yeah, the OneXPlayer does have the Harman tuned speakers and ROG Ally does not. If you look at the ports on top, ROG Ally has this like special port for connection to an external GPU, which is nice, but I don't really use that. The volume buttons are not quite as good as the rocker buttons on the OneXPlayer. The OneXPlayer does have like a little bit more pronounced and also easier to hit. Yeah, ROG Ally volume buttons, don't like them quite as much. And yeah, the full-size USB-A port on the OneXFly is Fly is appreciated. So this one has no full-size USB-A port and only has one USB-C, which is right here. The OneXPlayer has 2 USB-C, one on top and one on bottom. So in terms of port selection, the OneXPlayer is just better. It has one more USB-C and it has a full-size USB-A on top of that. Size-wise, OneXPlayer is a bit smaller, you guys can see, right? ROG Ally OneXPlayer is about this much smaller, and yeah, it's overall, I would say ROG Ally is a little bit on the big side and fairly similar to Steam Deck. OneXPlayer is like a little bit smaller and kind of reminds me of some AO Neo handhelds. If you guys have played or used AO Neo handhelds before, OneXPlayer is a little bit similar to that, which I do like. I think the grip is a bit better contoured on the OneXPlayer, especially without those extra buttons jutting on the back. If you compare it to the Steam Deck OLED, which I have, the Steam Deck OLED, right? This is a similar size to the ROG Ally, and that also means that it's a bit bigger than OneXPlayer. So, yeah, compared to the Steam Deck OLED, the OneXPlayer does not have these haptic trackpads that the Steam Deck has, and that's something unique to the Steam Deck that other gaming handhelds don't have. They don't have these trackpads. doesn't run SteamOS, obviously, it runs Windows. So that's a big difference. SteamOS actually is more optimized, so that's nice. The face buttons, I think, are about the same size. Just this one is rounder and this one's a little bit more sharper on the edges, but otherwise similar size. And analog sticks should be... Actually, they have these little concave tips on the analog sticks on the Steam Deck that the OneXPlayer does not have. So I think overall the Steam Deck does have pretty good analog sticks with a concave design. The OneXPlayer has this like convex design, so that's a little bit different. D-pad is positioned kind of awkwardly on the deck, I would say. Yeah, it's that's something unique to the deck, I find, like it, because they have the analog sticks like kind of right across from each other. It's not in the diagonal configuration. The face buttons are right beside the analog stick, and the D-pad is right beside the analog stick. For this reason, I think using the Steam Deck is a little bit less ergonomic than using other gaming handhelds, because the D-pad is like right beside analog stick and the face buttons beside the analog stick. Is not as natural as having them diagonal like this. So having them diagonal is better. Something I think that Steam Deck is not quite as ergonomic in terms of controls. And then in terms of port selection and volume buttons are just kind of these small little buttons here, which I still prefer the OneXPlayer on. It only has one USB-C port. Right at the bottom, there's nothing except for the micro SD. So only one USB-C port on the Steam Deck. So OneXPlayer beats it there as well with two USB-C and a USB-A. This only has one USB-C. In terms of the back buttons, the Steam Deck has these extra 4 buttons on the back. So this gives it more buttons compared to other gaming handhelds. So most gaming handhelds only have 2 on the back, like the ROG Ally. Deck has 4, so this gives it a few extra buttons, although in practice I don't feel like I use these buttons all that much, but it's nice that they're there, I guess. And they're a little bit more out of the way, which I like better, because on the ROG Ally, as we saw, the buttons kind of just they come out too much, which makes it annoying to hold. But on the Deck, they're a little bit more out of the way, which is more comfortable. So I think Valve did a good job placing these buttons. They're a little bit more out of the way and doesn't hurt your grip too much like the Ally does. So it doesn't, it's not too intrusive. But I still prefer having no buttons at all on the back and just having these extra buttons here instead. Especially considering these back buttons, I don't use them too much. So just having them out of the way completely is better. Okay, what about display? So Steam Deck also has a 7-inch display. It's also OLED, so the display is comparable, but the refresh rate is lower on the Steam Deck. It's like 90 hertz. OneXPlayer is 144. Also, the resolution is less. It's only 800p on the Steam Deck, whereas it's 1080p on the OneXPlayer. So I think in terms of display, the OneXPlayer has an advantage there. Higher refresh rate and higher resolution. In terms of the processor, the Deck OLED I think uses a Zen 2 processor, which is not quite as powerful as Z1 Extreme and therefore not quite as powerful as 8840U. So the processor is not quite as powerful, and gaming performance in practice, I find that the gaming performance between ROG Ally and Steam Deck is similar, even though the Z1 Extreme in theory it has better specs on paper. But I think because SteamOS is very optimized, in practice, I find like the gaming performance actually to be kind of similar. So yeah, Zen 2, even though on paper it's not as powerful as Z1 Extreme, in practice, yeah, I find that it performs fairly similar, especially like under the 800p resolution. You got to compare resolution to resolution. Yeah, I played the same games in 720p and get roughly about the same FPS on both. So yeah, just because SteamOS is a bit more optimized for gaming, I find that it runs still similarly to like the Z1 Extreme. But yes, on paper the Z1 Extreme is more powerful, which means also the OneXPlayer is more powerful on paper. The 8840U is more powerful. So yeah, that's comparison to Steam Deck OLED. What about comparison to Lenovo Legion Go, which I also have? So Lenovo Legion Go obviously is a much larger device. This just kind of this is a device I would say mostly should be used at home, because it's portable, but in quotes only, right? Portable, because like look how huge it is, right? It's significantly larger than any of these, and obviously larger than the OneXPlayer as well. Yeah, It's kind of unique because it's got the detachable controllers, kind of like the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it's got okay analog sticks. I found the D-pad to be a bit flat in design, so not that great. I actually think the OneXPlayer probably has the best D-pad out of all the handhelds here. And then the menu button and yeah, look here. Yeah, the menu button and this other button here. I think this has 4 buttons on the front, so just like the Asus ROG Ally. So yeah, the OneXPlayer does have 1 more button in front. It does have this mini trackpad here, which is nice. Something that you do not see on the OneXPlayer or the Asus ROG Ally. Actually, or the Steam Deck, to be honest. Steam Deck does have trackpads, but this is a different kind of trackpad used mostly for Windows navigation because it runs Windows, right? Face buttons are just okay on the Legion Go, not that great actually. I think OneXPlayer, actually maybe they're kind of the same. Just OneXPlayer, yeah, the buttons are a little bit more stiffer on the OneXPlayer, which is fine. I don't mind that. Yeah, otherwise I would say comparable, but I think I like the D-pad on OneXPlayer better. Analog sticks are comparable. Okay, so display-wise, obviously the Legion Go has a larger display. It's an 8.8-inch 1600p display, and a refresh rate I think is 120 hertz. And yeah, in terms of resolution and size, the display on the Legion Go is bigger, but OneXPlayer is OLED as well, whereas the Legion Go is not OLED, it's just IPS. This is the Legion Go 1, by the way, not the Legion Go 2. Legion Go 2 does have OLED. In terms of processor, Z1 Extreme, same processor as the ROG Ally, which means it should be similar performance to OneXPlayer on the same settings, because the performance of the processor should be similar. Yeah. In terms of display, actually, like I prefer still the OneXPlayer just because the smaller display is actually makes it more performant. If you use the lower resolutions, like I think 1600p might be a little bit too much for handheld gaming. I still prefer 1080p or even 720 because you want to balance the battery life, right? So yeah, I think 1600p may be a bit overkill for handheld gaming, and just the size of the screen is a bit too big because like it, you know, it's not as portable anymore. So I actually like the 7-inch. I think 7-inch is a good. This is a good size, a Goldilocks size for handheld gaming. 8.8-inch, almost 9 inches, is like sub notebook level. It's at this point it's like a netbook size, which is not really that portable for handheld gaming anymore, I'd say. You guys can tell already by the size of this device. So I actually prefer the smaller screen on the OneXPlayer, plus it's OLED. Okay, now let's look at the ports. So for port selection, yeah, the Legion Go does have 2 ports, 2 USB-C ports, so 1 port on the bottom, right here, whoops, yeah, 1 USB-C port on the bottom, which Neo also has as well, and 1 USB-C on the top here. Yeah, the volume button is right here, and no USB-A port here, right? So no full-size USB-A. So I would think in terms of port selection, OneXPlayer has the best out of all of them, because not only does it has the 2 USB-C, but it has the full-size USB-A as well. Only the GPD Win 4 that I have can compare to it in terms of port selection. And then if you look at the back here, it does have a kickstand because it is a big device, so it's trying to be like Nintendo Switch in that sense. It's got the 2 back buttons here, right? The buttons on the back, in addition to the shoulder and trigger buttons, obviously. So the buttons are here, and the reason why they're asymmetrical is because they're used differently. So because this one can detach, and then there's a optical sensor here that can be used for this one to be used as a, just the right joystick can be used as a mouse and joystick. So it's a little bit different. That's why it's asymmetrical. And it also has like a wheel here. Yeah, because it's you can use it as a separate mouse joystick. So that's kind of a unique feature of the Legion Go that the other handhelds don't have. So it's just kind of its own thing here. Not directly comparable, but it's, yeah, just the feel in the hand though is okay, but it just feels like a very large device. That's the thing. It's like your Legion Go is not a handheld you'd be wanting to use for a while because it is quite bulky and quite big. So it just feels like it's a bulky device, chunkier device. Whereas the OneXPlayer is a much more, it feels a lot more sleeker and a lot more yeah, it's more ergonomic, a lot more sleeker, lighter to hold, easier to hold. So in terms of comfort and ergonomics, I much prefer the OneXPlayer to the Legion Go. And actually, overall, I think out of these, the OneXPlayer probably just feels the best in terms of comfort level and size. Yeah, this is like actually really portable. Okay, so this is not as direct of a comparison. This is not really meant to replace these devices, but let's compare it to, let's see, GPD Win 4, for example. GPD Win 4 is still a smaller device. And I really love the GPD Win 4 size. Like, it's just, yeah, you can see it's still smaller than OneXPlayer. Really nice small size that can easily fit into my backpack. And also, you can push up the screen and then you have this QWERTY keyboard. So that's a nice feature of the GPD Win 4. This is actually meant to be almost like a replacement for both your laptop, like a netbook, I mean. Yeah, it's like more of a replacement of a netbook and also gaming handheld at the same time. And also has the full-size USB-A port. That's something the OneXPlayer has as well. So I think of the GPD Win 4 as just, this is like a nice all-in-one type of computer replacement. Like that doesn't replace your full computer, of course, but just like your secondary computer replacement or netbook replacement. And it can also be a gaming handheld, and it's fairly performant as well. If you get the latest versions, there you can get them with a similar performance and similar CPU, I believe, as the OneXPlayer. So yeah, and it has the optical track point as well, so that's a nice one for Windows navigation. The buttons aren't quite as good as on OneXPlayer, especially the face buttons though. Like the face buttons are really kind of small on the GPD Win 4, and the analog sticks are smaller on the GPD Win 4. It's just a smaller device, and I think of this device as more of a hybrid between, yeah, you can use this as actually your secondary computer here, and you can also use it for gaming as well. So it's a pretty cool device, definitely on the smaller side, and also just kind of unique in its own way. So GPD Win 4, still keeping that one. What about the Aya Neo Air Pro that I have? This is also a smaller device, also has an OLED display too, actually, and 2 USB-C ports, one on the top and bottom. This is a more portable device and pocketable device, but it's not as powerful. This doesn't have as powerful of a processor. I do like the D-pad on this though, and the face buttons are nice. I mostly use this one for indie games. So it's not quite as powerful as any of these other ones, but using it for indie games is fine. And I do like the smaller, this is the 6-inch OLED display. So yeah, smaller OLED display, and yeah, works well for just playing lighter games, and it's got a good grip as well. So this one more portable. What about Nintendo Switch OLED? Okay, so yeah, I have the Hori split pad compact on this one. So actually the size ends up being similar because of the Hori pad. But because of the Hori pad, the buttons are pretty good. Like the D-pad, analog sticks, face buttons are all really good on the Hori split pad compact. This being a third-party controller, that's pretty nice. It's even got turbo mode and everything on here. Also, it's got back buttons here, buttons on the back, just like on the Asus ROG Ally, which is unfortunate because I don't like the fact that they put extra buttons here. I wish they didn't even have them, but they do. But yeah, it has a 7-inch OLED screen as well. So the display is fairly comparable, I would say, even if it's not as high resolution. Yeah, this OneXPlayer still has a high resolution screen. But anyways, if you guys wanted to check it out, there's the Nintendo Switch OLED comparison. And obviously Switch is just a different thing. It doesn't play PC games, it plays Switch games. So it's just kind of its own thing, it's a different system. But that's the comparison here. It's fairly similar in size, I would say. But it's thinner, right? Because Switch doesn't need to have as much power for playing the games that it's meant to play. It's really got its own dedicated ecosystem of games. Whereas OneXPlayer, obviously Windows handheld, so it plays any Windows game. But yeah, overall, I really do like the OneXPlayer size, and in grip and everything, I feel like this is almost like the perfect size for a Windows gaming handheld. I don't want anything much bigger than this. Like all the other ones, the Asus ROG Ally, Steam Deck, and of course the Legion Go are all bigger. And I feel like this is actually the right size, and good grip, and it doesn't have the bothersome intrusive buttons on the back. So yeah, overall I'm already liking it. Haven't even turned it on yet, but just from the externals I do like it already. Okay, also let's take a look at the docking station just quickly. Do the unboxing of this one too, since I got it as an extra. Not sure how much this costs on its own, maybe at least $100. Okay, information guide here. Oh, okay, this is mostly in Chinese. Okay, well, let's take a look at what it is here. Yeah, this is at least an extra $100 accessory. Yeah, so this is the dock for it. So if you want to connect it to your TV or monitor, then you can just use this dock. One USB-C port right here, and then on the back you get 3 USB-A ports and HDMI full-size Ethernet, and a USB-C connector. I assume this one is for charging the dock. So yeah, if you want to do more of your PC work on here, like not necessarily playing games. I mean, of course, playing games on the big screen is nice, right? Hook it up to a big screen TV or a big display on monitor or anything. Yeah, so external display, if you have a bigger external display or, you know, big screen TV, obviously that's nice. But if you also want to do work and stuff, right, then you have a lot of extra ports to do that with. So that's nice, and this is how it looks when you plug it in. Yeah, like that. Okay, so and this is nice, you know, I think having the USB-C port on the bottom is preferable. I don't know why this ROG Ally does not have, like, it doesn't have any USB port on the bottom, but why? You know, like, why only have one USB-C port and it's on the top? You know, like, if you have one on the bottom, it's much easier to dock it like this. So this is a nice design. I have one USB-C port on the bottom so I can dock it like this, and I also have a USB-C port on the top so I don't lose that as well. And I have another USB-A here as well. So it doesn't block any of these other ports, and I have more ports on the dock as well. So I think OneXPlayer did a really good job with the design on this thing. So yeah, on the dock it's still very usable. And nice that I got it for free. Alright guys, so stay tuned. I'm going to put some games on it, load it up, and we'll compare it to the performance of these other guys. Okay, so now I have it turned on, and I installed some of the games I used to test, as with my other devices, so we can compare it. Mainly I have Stray and God of War installed, because these are the games I used to test on the Legion Go, Steam Deck, and the Asus ROG Ally. One thing I will mention is that, yeah, there's no fingerprint scanner here. So unlike the ROG Ally and the GPD Win 4 both have fingerprint scanners, which allows easy login. Yeah, this doesn't have that. It's nice to be able to have that. Like Steam Deck and Legion Go don't have that either. So GPD Win 4 and ROG Ally does have that in their favor. Yeah, you guys can see RGB lighting both on the analog sticks, and you have it here. It says OneXFly here and F1 Pro right here. So just adding some gamery touches here. Also, it says here, this is kind of funny, but on the side here it says gaming computer for hardcore gamers, which is they had the little text here on the side, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, let's check it out here. Let's check out let's do Stray first. Okay, let's get Stray booted up here. Okay, let's see. Maybe you can turn the volume up to max so you guys can hear the speakers at their best. Okay, so graphics, let's go with full screen. What's exclusive? I wonder if that's full screen. Okay, let's go full screen here. Okay, and when we continue, okay. Okay, ooh. Okay, a little bit of stuttering here. So I'm getting about, let's see, 30 to 40 on 1080p right now. It's okay, but no action's happening right now, of course, but let's just get out here. Okay, so yeah, I'd say I'm getting about like 30 to 40 on 1080p res right now, which is pretty good actually. Okay, like if let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, these extra buttons here, so I forgot to talk about that. So this is pretty much the same as on the Steam Deck. This button here on the left side, Steam Deck has it as well. So if you guys are used to Steam Deck, it's like this button here, right, on the left side. This button is the same as this one here, and then this one is a start menu button. So yeah, and then this one is basically to minimize. So whatever application you're in, yeah, basically I can open my Steam, and if you press this, it'll minimize it. If you're in a game, this will minimize it. So it's just minimizing back to the desktop, basically. That's what this button is. Quick shortcut back to the desktop. And then these two buttons, so this one here brings up this little performance menu here. So performance 15 watts right here. I can kind of up it if I wanted to. So right now, the performance that I'm getting right now is on 15 watt setting. I can of course up it up to 30 watts, and then it'll well, the fan will be louder and it'll take up more battery, but it'll be more performant. Fan mode is 47%. Vibration settings, you can adjust that brightness and volume. So that's kind of the configuration menu, I guess, for performance. And then this button here will bring up the keyboard. So yeah, it'll just bring up this little cyberpunk looking keyboard, I guess. I don't really like it, actually. Like, you'll have your built-in keyboard like in Windows pop up as well, but if you need to force a keyboard to show up, if the Windows keyboard doesn't pop up for whatever reason, you can force an on-screen keyboard to pop up with this one, but it looks kind of ugly. So yeah, the keyboard's kind of small as well. So anyways, you can force it to pop up with that button. Yep, so that's what it does, and this one's the performance menu. Anyways, just wanted to show those. Yeah, so overall, let's see, it will bring to 720p, because that's what my other testing was done. So let's go to 720, which, yeah, 720, 68 by 1024, let's go with that. Ooh, this looks bad. The screen looks really I guess it doesn't really have a good 720 mode, huh? This is like, yeah, the screen, this aspect ratio is really stretched and stuff. Of course, it runs at 60 FPS now. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really have a 720 mode, huh? It has an 800 by 600 mode. No, that's even worse. Okay, what the heck is going on? Whoops. What the heck is going on here? What? This is 1920 by 1080, right? Why is it so messed up now? Huh. I don't know what's going on here. I switched it back to 1920 by 1080, and that's what I was on at the beginning. Why is it like this now? That is so weird. What? Okay, let's restart it. Okay, so I don't know what happened with this game, but I restarted it again, and this time it's working. So yeah, anyways, I'm getting about 37 to 40 FPS here, and this is on high settings at 1080p, which is actually really nice, because I was getting about like 37 to 40 on 720p on the Steam Deck, and on the GPD Win 4, and on the ROG Ally, and on the Legion Go. So basically, on all the other handhelds I showed, it's getting about 37 to 40, the same FPS except on 720p. This one I'm getting 37 to 40, but on 1080p. So that means that this is actually performing better. And yeah, I wish I could, I don't know, does turning the graphics just mess it up or something? So yeah, everything's on high. 1080, so yeah, can I not go to, oh, because, oh, for some reason, okay, 768 by 1024, it shouldn't be 768 by 1024, it should be 1366 by 768, right? I don't know why the aspect ratio is messed up on this game. Okay, for some reason that it shouldn't be doing different aspect ratios, like it should be doing 16:9, but for some reason it went to a 4:3 aspect ratio. So like, it's weird, right? Like, yeah, 1920 by 1080 is a 16:9 aspect ratio, but for some reason the other options are like 4:3 aspect ratio. I have no idea why, because nobody plays games in 4:3 anymore. This is not like the year 1995 anymore, right? Like, or even the year 2005. We're not back 20 years ago, so why are they going with 4:3 aspect ratio? Like, the only 16:9 ratio is 1920 by 1080. That means that if I go with these other resolutions, it's going to be messed up. So I don't know why it's like that. Maybe it's just this game. But anyways, on 1920 by 1080 high settings, I'm getting a roughly the same frame rate as I get on the other consoles on 720. So that means that this one is actually performing better. So it's performing better on higher resolution. Yeah, it's performing better on higher resolution because same frame rates except on a higher resolution, which means that it's actually performing better. So yeah, pretty good. I'm impressed. 37 to 40 on 1020p. That's good. And I can't test it on 720 because for some reason it doesn't have the right aspect ratios. So anyways, Stray works good. Okay, how about God of War? This is my other testing game. So compared to the other consoles, if I go back to my other videos, I believe that I was getting about 30 FPS on the Legion Go, and that was at 720p, and I was getting about 35 FPS, I think, on the ROG Ally, and about 35 FPS on the Steam Deck. That was both at 720p. Surprisingly, I got even higher, 40 FPS on the GPD Win 4 at 720p. So right now I'm getting about 25 to 30 FPS on 1080p, right? Okay, so let's go to 720 so we have a more fair comparison here. And I think I have to go windowed for that. Okay, let's see. Let's get to the main menu here for adjusting settings. Nope, that's not it. Oh, here we go. So, to go to main menu. Okay, so I assume, well, let's check it out for 720. We have to go windowed, I think, and then we can adjust that. Can we? No, we can't. Huh. I'm not allowed to adjust the resolution. Interesting. Okay, why am I not allowed to adjust the resolution? It looks like the resolution is stuck at 1080. Okay. Well, I'm not allowed to adjust the resolution, so that makes it kind of hard to do a direct comparison then. Okay. Well, that makes it hard to do a direct comparison because in my other videos I did it, I showed the gameplay on 720, right? Not on 1080. So this one forces me to do it on 1080. Like, I can't go to 720. So it's hard to do a direct comparison then. Well, what I can say is I can get about 25 to 30 on 1080, which I mean it's not really that playable. Like, I would define playable as 30 FPS, right? This is just in the non-action sequences. If I go to action sequences, it'll probably go a bit lower. So it's not like that playable on 1080. But then I can't change the resolution. That's the thing. Well, what if I can bump down the, let's see if I can bump down the graphics. Yeah, here we go. Let's go to original graphics. Okay. So original graphics, if I bump down to original graphics, I can get about 30 to 35 probably. Then it's actually more playable. Okay, so I'll bump down to original graphics, not high, and I get 30 to 35. Okay, so I can't do an apples to apples comparison, unfortunately, because this game doesn't allow me to go to 720. However, I can get 30 to 35 on original setting, which is, I guess, medium setting. And that's on 1080p. So I think it's actually a little bit better than the other consoles. So yeah, I was getting 30 FPS on the Legion Go. That was on 720. and I think the graphics were original as well. And yeah, on Steam Deck and Asus ROG Ally, I was getting about 35 FPS on 720. GPD Win 4 getting about 40 on 720. Yeah, so this is getting about 30 to 35 on 1080. So I think it's actually a little bit more powerful. Yeah, this OneXPlayer F1 Pro is a little bit more powerful than the ROG Ally and Steam Deck and Legion Go that I have. Because it's getting about the same FPS except on 1080, not 720. So it's a little bit more powerful actually. I assume if I can go to 720, it's going to be more performant, of course. So I assume the FPS could be in the 40s, you know, if I go to 720. So I'm speculating because I can't go to 720, but I assume if I can go to 720, it will be in the 40s, right? So, yeah. Okay. And the speakers are okay on this. Like, they're not crazy. This is on full volume, right? Yeah, it's full volume. It's not crazy loud or anything. It's okay. I mean, for Harman tuned speakers, I would have expected something a little bit louder, but it's okay. I would say it's probably on the same level as the Steam Deck OLED speakers. Nintendo Switch speakers as well for the Nintendo Switch OLED. So yeah, speakers are just, they're okay. They're better than the Legion Go, obviously. The Legion Go has the worst speakers out of all these. And then Asus ROG Ally speakers are also just okay, but I think these are probably a little bit better than the Asus ROG Ally. And compared to Steam Deck OLED and Nintendo Switch OLED is probably similar. And of course it's definitely better than the Legion Go speakers because the Legion Go speakers suck. So yeah, these speakers are okay. This is like the maximum volume. So I would expect it to be a little bit louder, but yeah, it's okay.
Still can't get the doors open, huh?
Quiet.
Another new location I have to go to. Oh my god, look at there's some flickering in the back there. See that? Some artifacting here. Yeah, look at the back there, there's a little flickering. I wonder if that's the game though, or is it my drivers? I don't know. I see the background flickering a bit. Well, yeah, anyways, overall, I'm fairly satisfied with the graphical performance. It's not like it's not like super powerful or anything like that. I think like Asus ROG Ally X and the Xbox ROG Ally X, yeah, and the newer, more powerful OneXplayers and the AI Neo players would probably all beat this. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more powerful than the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally. Yeah, I mean, for the price, $1,000, you can say, yeah, that's kind of overpriced. But you know what? I do like the form factor a lot. Like, it's just so comfortable to hold. I think it's just about the right size for me. Like, yeah, it's more portable than the Steam Deck and ROG Ally, and obviously more portable than Legion Go. And yeah, speakers are okay. You know, not too bad. Not like really loud, but also not bad. Doesn't really distort either. And the buttons and everything are fine to hit. Don't have too many issues with that. And if I dial it down to 800, although I can't do that with this game for some reason, but if I could dial it down to 800, I'm guessing it'll be like mid to high 30s. And that's still not that impressive, right? The Steam Deck can already do like 35 on this game. So this is not that much more powerful than the Steam Deck. And the same thing with the ROG Ally, is like, it wasn't that much more powerful than the Steam Deck. So I was kind of disappointed by the ROG Ally. Actually, I was even more disappointed by the AI Neo Air Pro, but that's a different story. Yeah, the ROG Ally disappointed me because it wasn't that much more powerful than the Steam Deck. Like, maybe by a few extra frames, per second, but not by much. And then this is the same thing. It's not that much more powerful than the Steam Deck, maybe by a few extra frames per second. It's the exact same processor as the ROG Ally, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Windows gaming handheld I've tried, but performance is pretty similar to my deck, and honestly maybe a little bit below my Win 4, which is kind of disappointing. Yeah, so I'm getting about 40 FPS. This is pretty much in line with the deck and the Win 4, I guess, when it came to Stray. So yeah, guys. I mean, it still looks really good. It plays nicely. I was just expecting better performance from this. Yeah. So yeah, on the Steam Deck, also getting about 40 FPS. And on the Win 4, also getting about the same. And this is all on the same settings. So yeah, the Ally is pretty much in line with that. So getting about, still not even 30 FPS, come on. It's still below 30 FPS, still like the high 20s here. Man, that's disappointing. That is really disappointing. Not even 30 FPS, and I'm at lower resolution now. I'm at 800. What the heck? I mean, we're in the middle of combat, but still, that's disappointing. So it might push 30 like it is right now. Yeah. And I'm not being serious about playing this game, by the way. That's why I'm not doing good well right now. Not being serious about it. I'm just trying to test the performance, and it's disappointing, man. Okay, now it went up to 35, but come on, I'm at 800p. Not even full screen here. Give me better performance than that. Yeah, that's disappointing. Okay, so getting about 30, it says 32. Okay, 36. 34, okay. So roughly about 35. I would say 35 FPS, which is really the same as the deck, I would say. Steam Deck, it gets pretty similar performance, and you get about, yeah, about 35 FPS on 720p on high settings, I believe. And then on the GPD Win 4, you can see it gets better performance than on the deck or Ally. So you get about 40 FPS on the same settings, 720p on high. Yeah, so the buttons are nice, feel good, responsive. D-pad's alright. Yeah, I like the fact that the back buttons are actually not on the back, but actually here instead, because I don't like having them on the back. It's bothering my fingers whenever I grip. So that's good. OLED screen is pretty nice, of course. So yeah, of course, I'm not going to say that this is better value than like Steam Deck. Steam Deck is still the best value, I think, for a performance handheld. ROG Ally, because you can find it much cheaper used, is probably better value as well. Like the ROG Ally, you can probably find for as cheap as like $300 used online. So it can get pretty cheap. Even the ROG Ally X is pretty discounted as well. And that's partly because, like, I think just ROG Ally, they have a lot of competition, and then, yeah, I guess people are just dumping them. The new Xbox ROG Ally's out as well, so people are just dumping the old ROG Allies. The MSI Claw sometimes you can find cheaper online, but I haven't tried the MSI Claw, but you know, people have been a little bit mixed about its performance. But it seems like nobody really cares too much about the MSI Claw. Yeah, generally the Neo GPD OneXPlayer stuff tends to stay high priced, even the used ones. But yeah, basically you're paying a premium for just having a handheld that's not as mass produced as the Steam Deck. And obviously all these Chinese companies, they don't have as much money as Valve. They're not as big as Valve. GPD, One Netbook, even like Asus and Lenovo, right? They're not they're big companies, but they can't dedicate a lot of money to just mass producing these handhelds as much as Valve can, because the Steam Deck is one of Valve's only hardware pieces, and really they're by far their best selling one. All right, the Index is not going to sell as much as the Deck. So yeah, in terms of like just how much they can produce, and I'm pretty sure that Valve, whenever they sell a Steam Deck, they're actually losing money. I'm pretty sure, because like Valve is making so much money from Steam. They're obviously selling their hardware at a loss in order to get Steam sales. So yeah, that's pretty obvious to me, and they're able to take a huge loss on every unit that they sell of the Steam Deck in order to get more Steam sales. So they can do that. And because of that, they can outcompete pretty much every other manufacturer in terms of price. So even Asus and Lenovo, which are huge companies, they can't compete with Valve when it comes to pricing. And obviously, smaller companies like One Netbook and GPD and ANEO, they can't compete with Valve when it comes to pricing. They don't have a platform like Steam to make up for for that loss in hardware. So they have to price their handhelds higher, basically. So that's how economics works, you know. Like sometimes a company like Valve, they can afford to sell their hardware at a loss because they're making it up for it in terms of software sales. Yeah, Microsoft does the same thing, right? To push Windows. So yeah, that's something that other hardware manufacturers don't have the luxury of having. They don't have a store like Steam to do it. So yeah, that's part of the reason why you see companies like, oh, you know, why is it so expensive? Why is ANEO, GPD, One Netbook, or OneXPlayer, why is it so expensive? Well, they don't have a store like Steam to fall back on. They can't afford to lose that much on their hardware sales like Valve can. So they have to price their handhelds a bit higher. But you know what? Yeah, I know it's not as good value as Steam Deck is, but overall I do like it. The form factor is really nice. I do like the hardware a lot. It's a little bit more performant than the Steam Deck and Asus ROG Ally and Legion Go. Not by a lot, but it is a little bit more performant. Of course, I did not get the higher configuration. If I got the higher configuration with the better GPU, it would be even more powerful. But I'm fine with this because like I don't play so many AAA titles on my machines actually. Most of my Steam library is full of indie games and B tier titles, I would say, like JRPGs and stuff like that, Persona or Yakuza or something like that. So I'm not gonna need too much heavy graphics for that. So I'm okay with this configuration. It's good enough for me. I do like the OLED display, the form factor, the controls and everything. Speakers are decent. I like having the extra USB port here, the extra USB-A port and the 2 USB-C ports. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this. Like not having the buttons on the back to kind of ruin my grip. Yeah, overall, I think the design is actually really good, really nice. Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. That's the OneXPlayer F1 Pro. This is my first OneXPlayer review that I've done on my channel, but overall, I like it. The form factor is nice. The hardware is nice. I like the extra ports on it and display. Speakers are decent. Buttons are nice and responsive. Yeah, it's maybe not necessarily as performant as you would hope for given the price, but you know I'm not too disappointed. It's fine. Yeah, if you can buy an Xbox ROG Ally X or Ally X, you can probably get it for around the same price and it'll be more performant. But yeah, I'm okay with this, you know, just because I like the other stuff about this handheld better. So not just about performance for me. So anyways, that's it, guys. Yeah, I did not get the ROG Ally X because I prefer the form factor of this, and plus, you know, just having a different kind of handheld by a company that I did not do a video review for. I already have the ROG Ally, so yeah, I decided this time, okay, let's try the OneXPlayer OneXFly and see what it's about, you know. Also, I like the OLED display. That's something that the Xbox ROG Ally and the regular Ally do not have. So yeah, anyways, yeah, there's a lot of things about this player that is just, yeah, having the extra USB port is nice, and the design is nice, and the OLED display is nice, and those are stuff that the Ally does not have, or the ROG or the Xbox Ally. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which one do you go for? I mean, the gaming handheld space is really heating up more than ever, right? Yeah, you have the Lenovo Legion Go 2 actually is out. And you also have the Lenovo Legion Go S as well. And then the Steam Deck, of course, the market leader. And then the Asus ROG Ally, as well as the Xbox Ally stuff. And then you have the OneXPlayer, you have the AI Neos, you have the GPEs, basically, which are the other Chinese brands that are smaller, all competing in the same space. So yeah, let me know which one you guys would go for. You know, would you support Lenovo because like they have this giant display and kind of a more unique design with the detachable controllers? Would you go with the tried and true popular Steam Deck? Would you go with the Asus ROG Ally or the Xbox ROG Ally? Or would you support some of the smaller Chinese manufacturers like OneXPlayer or AI Neo or GPD? Yeah, let me know what you guys would, which one you guys would get in the comment section below. Or MSI, you know, MSI is another one, but again, the Claw is not really highly respected, I think. Yeah, yeah, of course, Steam is the only one that has Steam OS. That's really helpful because it's very optimized, I would say. And the rest of the stuff is Windows, which has more bulk in it. But you know, the other side of that is that you can launch other applications too. With Steam OS, you'll have to like modify it to run another thing. Like if, for example, you want Epic Launcher, you'll have to modify the Steam OS to launch it, which could be a hassle for some people. Windows, you just, you know, this one came pre-installed with Epic Launcher, so you don't need to think about that. Yeah, anyways, overall, pretty nice player. I like it, especially the form factor and the display and everything. I think the hardware itself is the thing I like the most, you know, other than the performance. The performance is okay. It's like not blowing my mind or anything, but in terms of the design, yeah, the design is what I like the most about this. So the OneXPlayer, just so comfortable. If I hold the ROG Ally, like the buttons at the back dig into me, and then it's just like holding like this big square box, it seems like. And then Steam Deck is not very ergonomic, right? Because of the, yeah, I keep wanting to think, okay, they just put this diagonally, right? The analog stick should be here. And then here, but here's a trackpad, which I don't use so much in games. So it's like I have to go like horizontally here, not as ergonomic. And then the Legion Go is just like so big and bulky, right? Just feels like I'm holding a brick. It's not something I can hold for a long time. My hands get tired. But this is just really nice form factor, right? Yeah, really kind of a perfect form factor. I mean, if you're used to the Nintendo Switch, this is like kind of similar to Nintendo Switch form factor in terms of the size and dimensions, just a little bit thicker than the Switch, of course, but the same dimensions as the Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo really kind of perfected how people would, you know, hold their device, and yeah, they can use it for long periods of time and very ergonomic, and it's the right size. And I think that, yeah, this is fairly similar to the Switch in terms of the dimensions, you know. Yeah, so I think this is actually really good. I can grip it and I can hold it for quite a long time without feeling, yeah, tired or anything, and just feels really nice in my hand. So this is a bit of a nitpick, but the OneXFly speakers, they're located down at the bottom here, as you guys can see. Come on, focus. Okay, yeah, you see down at the bottom. Yeah, that's where the speakers are, and I would prefer them if they had them front-facing. Like on the Asus ROG Ally, the speakers are front-facing, as you guys can see. Now, the OneXFly speakers aren't bad. Like, they're decent, but probably about the same level as the Steam Deck. Maybe like slightly better than the ROG Ally. The ROG Ally speakers actually perform better than they actually look because, yeah, they're front-facing, so you get more of the sound towards you. The OneXFly speakers, I feel like they are actually better, and they're Harman tuned and everything, but it could be better, you know? It could be better because they could be front facing instead of bottom firing. And unfortunately, instead of getting front facing speakers, we get this RGB stuff, which personally I feel like they could replace this with the speakers. Like, they can move the speakers up here instead. Like, I don't think this RGB stuff is that necessary, but that's just me, you know? Some people may like this, but it feels a bit tacky to me. I would rather have the front-facing speakers than this RGB stuff, but that's just me. Anyways, it's a bit of a nitpick on the speakers. They are still pretty decent. But yeah, let's try out some more games here. I'm gonna go with Last Half of Darkness Remake. Let's check that one out. This one came out fairly recently. Yeah, so I do have a bunch of horror games on here, so let's check it out. Oh, thought I had a save. Okay, fine. Just a new game here. So it runs fairly well. Let's see what the settings are. So medium settings is what I'm on. Okay. Well, what if I change that? Can I change it? Change it to high. Ooh, cinematic. What kind of graphics quality is cinematic, I wonder? Okay. If I go with cinematic, I'll turn off the light for this. Okay. Yeah. So the original Last Half of Darkness was from like 1989. Okay. Okay, I can tell like it is definitely a little bit slower on cinematic mode for sure. It's noticeably laggier. Okay, I know there's reflections in this video, but in real life, because of the OLED, it actually looks really, really good. And hey, you know, putting horror games on this, good idea, right? Take advantage of that OLED. Yeah, this is definitely, I would say, below 30 FPS. Don't know exactly the frame rate though, because Fraps is not working for this game. Okay, what if I just go high? A little bit. So I think cinematic is actually higher than high. Yeah, this higher seems to be a little bit more performant, but of course medium, you know, is going to be better. Okay. Oh wait. Yeah, it's a fairly recent horror game. I think it's playable on high. Of course, not more playable on medium, but this is a horror game. It doesn't really need to be fast-paced here. But yeah, graphics look pretty good on high mode. Okay, so yeah, that's Last Half of Darkness here. This is also a game that came out fairly recently. I think 2023 is when it came out. It's like a indie horror game set in Taiwan. Okay. I thought I had a save, but okay. Well, this is kind of weird, right? It's almost like a phone inside of the handheld here.
雅雅脸嘟嘟的好可爱哟、哦！来，嘟嘟陪你睡高高哦。妈妈爱你哦。
Oh, come on.
永远爱你哦。
Okay, I just have to watch this.
舅头，真古锥呢。你女儿不见6年了哦，我一定很想她哦。你那封信哦，说你女儿在陈家村里，但你又不知道是谁寄的。
Still wish the volume could go higher. It's really still not that loud.
啊，你自己跑来，那是吹无哦。
我会的，我会找到的，我一定会找到的。
哦，对啦对啦，会吹到啦。
快到了吗？
嘿啦嘿啦，念咪得到啊。
头部窗口向山坡两处不明标志，请熟人前往支援。
啊，你等一下跟紧我哦，遐个人拢就避暑了，我先帮你们看卖了。
谢谢，大家都叫我不要再找了，真的很谢谢你。
不会啦，我嘛有查囝啊，伊哦，毋管安怎，为了囡仔，咱啥物代志拢做会出来，对无？
只要能找到雅雅，只要能找到她，我也。啊，刚刚那人是不是？
啊？什么人？干！
And it's a haptic motors on the back, actually. I can feel the vibration. So, didn't mention that, but there's haptic motors here on the grips.
威哥，
And
坏了，该死！
of course the phone is dead. Okay.
歪哥，你在吗？
Oops. Okay, yeah, so this is essentially select button in a lot of games. Okay.
我混了多久？
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. I wonder what the graphics quality is at. It is... Oh, it's 720. Okay, no wonder. Well, 720, of course, should be good, but let's try 1080 then. Okay. 1080... I mean, it's still very playable. I mean, it's definitely... Yeah, definitely a little bit laggier, but it's still playable. Alright. So yeah, 1080 on high settings, and this is a game from 2023, so it's alright. I mean, sure, it's an indie game, but still, like, it's got decent graphics for an indie game, I'd say. It's not like the pixelated retro style or anything. So yeah, you guys can see a little bit of lag, but not too much, and for a horror game, it's fine, right? It's not going to be too much action. It's not like an FPS or something, so I think that's fine. Okay. Okay, good. Fraps back. Tell me what FPS I have. Okay, good.
Civilization is a vulnerable thing, a whim of circumstance. At any time, the smallest flap of a butterfly's wings
Okay, can we
may
get
set
past this?
catastrophe in motion.
Go to the main menu.
Haran, an entire city wiped from the map.
We have to watch this, maybe.
Those left behind there did not.
Come on, yeah. Okay, here's Dying Light 2. Is this really the first time? No, I played this game before. Pretty sure. I mean, I literally have a gameplay video on my channel about it, so why is it acting like I never played it before? Okay. Okay. Oh, there's some DLC stuff. Okay, I don't care about that. Let's look at the settings. So, windowed borderless. No, I'll go with full screen. High quality. Okay, high full screen resolution 1920 by 1080. Okay, let's go with that. Let's do without event. There. Okay, so let's go outside. Okay, so this is on high settings 1080p. Okay, yep, definitely a bit laggy. Not totally unplayable, but it's definitely, I would say, not fully playable either. But it does, like, the thing is, this game is fairly high requirements, especially with the motion blur stuff. I think if I turn motion blur off, it might be better. I'll just have it on medium for sure. Medium quality, yeah. Let's try that. That's much better. Yeah. I think high settings definitely wasn't very playable. Okay, but now I'm on medium, now I'm getting 30 FPS, which is playable at least. Not extremely playable, but still playable. Yeah, I'm getting about 30 FPS, and yeah, definitely on high settings, so it's getting less than that, so. But you know, that's pretty good for Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2 is a fairly demanding game, I would say. Even my main desktop computer, like, it doesn't run this that well, so. Okay, Pretty good. That's main menu here. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do actually another game that's pretty demanding here is where is it? Access Unseen. Yeah, that's a fairly demanding game as well. Came out 2024, and I remember like even on desktop, this game is just like the Dying Light 2. It doesn't run like super well or anything, so I know it's fairly demanding. So let's see if this the OneXPlayer can handle it. Still think the speakers could be a bit louder. Ooh, it's already like struggling. Okay. It's graphic quality. Okay, let's put it at medium. Okay, that's much better. What was that at before? It was super laggy before. Let's see. Was it high or epic or something? Okay, this is high. Let's try high first. Okay, so this is high graphics settings. Yeah, it's a little bit. I don't have the full FPS here, but I can say like, okay, it's not like really unplayable, but it's not really that playable either. But it's okay. So this is on high settings. Obviously, if I change to medium, oops. If I change to medium, it should be a lot better. And this is at 1080p. Okay, yeah, medium is very, very playable. So actually, I think this is doing better than Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2, I think on medium is like 30 FPS, and this seems like higher than 30 FPS on medium. So yeah, not too bad actually. Yeah, and then on high, it's like definitely maybe just below 30, I think, maybe 25-ish. It seems like on high. Could be on high. Yeah, it seems like around 25 to 30. Yeah. So it's like not really that playable, but at the same time, it's not like completely unplayable either. Yeah, but I would definitely play this on medium. I think on medium is fine. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, Access Unseen is a fairly demanding game, I would say. Whoops. Yeah, if you look at the recommended requirements, it's like you gotta have like a 3060 or something like that. So it's actually pretty. That's the recommended graphics. If it's like a 3060, then yeah, the fact that this console can actually run it is actually pretty cool. Okay, so now I restarted it, and it should be a lot better now, I think. Okay, yeah, now it's a lot better. Okay, so I turned ray tracing off. I think ray tracing was the main culprit here, because like having ray tracing on a gaming handheld is crazy. Definitely turn that off, and then basically once I turn that off, it's fairly playable right now. So I guess everything's on medium settings because I did turn it mostly to medium. So yeah, it's okay. And to be honest, it's like even though I don't have ray tracing on, it's like the water effects still look pretty good, even with ray tracing off. So yeah, this game was obviously designed to take advantage of ray tracing a lot, but yeah, even without it's fine. Yeah, anyways, on medium settings, very, very playable. It's just like, be aware that when you start up some game like this, the ray tracing might be on by default, and then it's going to be extremely slow because, I mean, you're using like a mobile GPU and trying to do ray tracing with it. So, I mean, it's not just it's not like even a powerful laptop GPU. This is for a gaming handheld, so obviously can't really do ray tracing well. So yeah, once you turn ray tracing off and put the settings to medium, it's fairly playable, I'd say. And the graphics look pretty good still, even on medium. So yeah, not too bad. Yeah, now it's fairly responsive. Like, what if I turn back some of this stuff on except for the ray tracing? Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, runs fairly well once you turn ray tracing off, I'd say. Yeah, still, it's pretty playable. Alright, so yeah, that's it. Just wanted to check out some of these games. Some of these other horror games I wanted to check out on this. I think this device is pretty good for horror games because, you know, OLED and everything. Okay, so now I'm playing Amnesia the Bunker. This is the most recent Amnesia game, and got 1920 by 1080 resolution, and graphics are all on high. Okay, let's check this out. Continue. Okay, so Amnesia the Bunker runs at about not quite 30 FPS. Runs at about, well, actually maybe it does. Okay, so maybe it dips below 30 sometimes though. So yeah, dips below 30, and it runs on average probably right about 30, and this is on high settings on 1080. So, okay. Let's go and check it out. Yeah, horror games like this is really nice to play on OLED. I know on this video there's lots of reflections and stuff showing, but yeah, in real life it looks really good on OLED. But yeah, this one is like barely playable, I guess, because it does hit 30 sometimes, but then it dips under 30 sometimes too. Yeah, but it's a nice game to play on OLED screen though. See how dark it is, right? Yeah. It's still fairly playable. I mean, with this kind of game, you don't need too much action or stuff. So, right. You don't need too much action going on in this kind of games. So, yeah. Yeah, anyways, I would say Amnesia the Bunker is like probably barely playable. High settings, 1080p. So, yeah, it's okay. But it is a really good game for this kind of display, I would say. Yeah, nice OLED display to take advantage of the darkness.